please guys go on mute for a bit, so we don't hear any background noise. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. From Maria and myself, Fede, we are very happy to have you here, and also our, speaker, special guest that we're going to have tonight in the webinar. So just a couple of things. We're gonna have Lyssa, who will be here with us, and she will be also speaking at the conference Agile Spain that will be taking place in Alicante on the Thursday 13th of December and Friday 14th of December. So we're very happy to have her. Lyssa, thank you so much for being with us. We are thrilled that you are here sharing this webinar.
I'm thrilled too. Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. So I'm gonna just to try to for the logistics. So if you have any questions for the guys who are on the webinar, just please type the question on the chat box. We'll be trying to interject all the questions and ask them back to Lyssa. So we don't waste time, and then we go very quickly because only have half an hour. So I'm gonna quickly introduce Lyssa, and Lyssa, if I miss something, just please add it. So all right, give me one sec. All right, so how can I define Lyssa? She's a coach, facilitator, teacher, inspirer. She claims that she can make the group sing. I would love to see that, actually. So her
it's going in the keynote now.
Awesome. So her current focus is improving the performance of top leadership teams, boards of directors through insightful facilitation and system coaching. She also wants if Agile can accelerate the mission of us working on the effect on climate change. Nice initiative. So for years, she has been a passionate player in the Agile coach profession. 2010, she co-founded the Agile Coaching Institute and currently serves as the president emerita, as well as co-leads ACI's competence-based coaching curriculum. She's the author of the Coaching Agile Teams, which is still a top 10 Agile books years after publication. She holds an alphabet soup of certifications: certified enterprise coach, ICL expert in Agile coaching, project management professional, etc., etc., etc. So without further ado, Lyssa, if you wanna take it away.
Great. Well, hello everyone, and welcome live to the call. And for those of you who are listening afterwards, welcome. So one of the things we're going to have at the conference are the Inspire Me card decks, and what they are these really beautiful cards that are the best of the 8 years of inspiration emails that Agile Coaching Institute has been sending out. And because people said to us, oh, we love these emails we get on Tuesday mornings, but we'd love to have like a deck of cards we can do things with. And so I thought we would start to involve one of you and to use the cards in maybe much the way that a lot of Agile coaches use them. So if you're the one who wants to be involved, you're going to turn your camera on now. And the first camera I see is the person who's going to play this little game with me. Who's it going to be? There are 5 of you.
Come on, guys.
Oh, there we go. There's
Nice.
Jose. All right, Jose, unmute your microphone, my dear. So I just picked several cards at random here. And I'm going to say the big word on the back of them, and then you'll just pick the word that, for whatever reason you want to pick this word. And then we'll look and see what the card has to say, okay? Here they are. Courage, change, choices, or respect.
Okay, hello everyone. I think I'll take courage.
Okay, this is like playing a game on TV, isn't it? I'll take courage for 200. Okay. So, you got one that's my husband's photo.
All right.
So this photo of the sailboat is actually on the lake where we have our sailboat. And this is the friends of our sailboat when they're racing. And the quote is from Andre Gide. And it says, "We do not discover new lands without consenting to lose sight of the shore for a very long time." And on the back is that big word courage at the bottom. And there's also a little note from me. Do you want to hear the note?
Yes, please.
Yeah? Okay. If you are still in the harbor, cast off your lines. You will not do Agile well studying it while in sheltered waters. Go ahead, set sail. Those of you who have been on the water for a while and have lost sight of the shore, I have one thing to say. Don't lose heart. We are ushering in an utterly new way to work, and that takes us to where there be dragons and beyond. Most of all, don't fight the elements. Use Agile to harness the wind.
Thank you.
So, thanks for choosing that, Jose. That
Thank
is
you.
a really sweet. And this is one of the ways that Agile coaches use this deck. They just, kind of randomly or maybe with a little bit of looking through the 70 cards that are here, choose something to give them a little bit of inspiration for the day or the week. And people also use them with their teams. In fact, we have free online events where we teach people how to do things like help their teams create a conflict protocol by using the card deck, because that sort of thing is a hard conversation to start without something like a card deck to get people talking. So thanks for starting us off this way.
Nice. Thank you, Lyssa. It's beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up, because I have a question also about the decks, because we're gonna have a lot of them. So
yeah, we're bringing about 20 decks to sell at the conference, because it's actually fairly difficult to ship them around to all different kinds of places. So it's great that I'm going to be there and we're shipping 20 decks, and so we'll be able to sell them. And I hope that people will buy them and use them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So I would like to start with some of the questions, Lyssa. So, if you can share very briefly, what is going to be the topic of your talk? If you can share that with the folks online.
Yeah. So the title is "We Are the Leaders We've Been Waiting For," and that title is important to me because so often I'm working with Agile coaches all over the world, and they keep saying, "Yeah, but our leaders don't get it." And I think it's totally worthwhile for lots of people in our community to help leaders get it. But the other message I have for people is that pretty soon we are going to be the leaders. And so in a lot of ways, if we work on ourselves to become the kind of leaders we want to be, and like that card said, to not lose heart, to don't fight against the wind, but use Agile like a sailboat uses the sails to harness the wind. Like if we keep doing that, then we're going to usher in a whole new way of working.
Right.
So that's the title, but that's actually just very much toward the end of the keynote. The rest of the keynote comes in at a little bit of a slightly different angle, because there was a question asked in our community about a year ago about individuals and interactions over processes and tools, and can we bring the Agile community back to individuals and interactions? And so I started really just thinking about the question. So if we value individuals and interactions over processes and tools so much, why do processes and tools so often lead the day?
Yeah.
Right? So what is it? What is it in us that values one thing, and yet as a community we tend to do more of the other? And so that's my point of view on it. Does that happen where you all are?
Yes.
Yeah.
It happens. And I think one of the sentences that I really like about the description of your talk is that helping people and organizations develop their mental capabilities, not just change their mindset. There is a subtle difference in that. Could you elaborate a bit on that? Because
absolutely. So subtle and powerful, and so that's one of the two reasons why I think this might be going on in our community. So exactly as you said, basically that individual interactions, even though we aspire to it, it actually doesn't make sense until someone is at a certain value system and at a certain level of mental complexity. It literally doesn't make sense. The other piece is that although we have a lot of affinity for individuals and interactions, I believe in our community we don't have a lot of skill for working with individuals and interactions. And there is so much available to us outside of our Agile world that we can bring in. And so the keynote is going to look at both of those aspects. And in fact, for the individuals and interactions piece of it, we're going to be asking the audience, you know, kind of where does their mind naturally go? And I'm going to be presenting a model that will allow people to think about that. And then I'm going to be introducing people to what I would call some human technologies that would allow us to become more skilled in, especially in those interactions between people, especially when it doesn't go exactly as planned or it gets a little bit uncomfortable. So I'll be kind of shifting our minds from thinking about I need to solve that problem or I need to deal with these people individually and then get them together to how can we look at the entire web of relationship between people in, let's just say a team, because that's the simplest situation. And that's still plenty complex. So we're going to be working on that piece at the beginning of the keynote. And then the second piece is exactly where you were headed. Exactly where you were headed, Bedu.
All right. So
yeah, go ahead.
No, I just because there's another thing that is I saw that is very important on your keynote, which is how important it is to work for an agile coach when you want to foster this kind of thing of people's interactions, processes, and tools. How important is working on yourself? I mean, self-awareness. How important is that for someone who wants to bring these kind of things, these values on teams?
I think it's probably the most important thing. I often tell Agile coaches that that they are the instrument of their craft. And so if you tune the instruments of your craft, you hone the instruments of your craft, you pay a lot of attention to the instruments of your craft. And so the coach's awareness, not only on themselves and their internal landscape, but also on the external landscape and the awareness of what's going on there is so important because no one else is supposed to be doing that job. Right. Everyone else is supposed to be making product of some sort.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's where they're focused and rightfully so. Right. So the awareness piece, and then from that, the self-management piece, I think that is the absolutely critical thing for not only Agile coaches, actually everyone, but let's just work on Agile coaches first. Agile coaches to develop.
Right.
I'm still developing mine. Like years and years later, it never ends.
Yeah, because I'm asking that question because normally we often, and I include myself, we often forgot that basically what the job that you're doing is a reflection of sometime of yourself. So if you for example have a very bad day, there is no way that you can unless you're very I don't want to say professional, but you very grasp the idea, but unless you don't work in yourself, you're going to reflect that, angriness and that rage on the team. So maybe unconsciously, but,
Yeah. It's a lot like parenting, actually. You know how your kids are always watching?
Yeah.
And you're teaching them a lot just by how you're being. We're all doing that with each other in the workplace all the time.
Right. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, that's it. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to head?
I just wanna remind the people to, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box, guys. We're gonna read them aloud. So I will move forward, Lyssa. So I have a question that I always wanted to ask you. Since I knew that you're gonna come to the conference. So the book, the Coaching Agile Team, I think was published in 2010, if I'm not mistaken.
8 years old now.
Yeah, 8 years old.
And 9 years old for me because it went in 6 months before it got published.
Oh, wow. Yeah. All right. Even older than that. So, so what happened in these, during these 8 years? I mean, if you had to, let's say not rewrite the book again, but if you have to, add any other changes to rewrite any chapter, what would that be? Or maybe if you can say, the job of the Agile coach has been, expanded or, even broader than what you define on that book.
Through our courses at the Agile Coaching Institute, we have been continuing to expand and broaden the work of Agile coaching. And so if I were to bring some of that material into the Coaching Agile Teams book, or maybe a new book, that might be a place to go. Wow. But even so, though, I'm not sure I would do that, because the book is enough to bite off at one time. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Like, it's already sort of a lot. People tell me that all the time. It's a lot. Like, I have to take it really slowly. I have to put things into practice. I have to come back and read them again. And then when people take our in-person courses, they're like, oh my gosh, now I understand that thing that I thought I really understood when I read it, which was the same experience I had when I read professional coaching books and then went to professional coaching school. So the piece that we could advance in the Agile world is this idea of coaching a team as an entity, instead of coaching all the individuals on a team and then trying to add them up together. And so the Coaching Agile Teams book talks about that quite a bit at the principles level. It talks about human systems moving naturally toward more health when they're more intelligent about themselves. Like, for example, in the chapter of conflict, the idea is to reveal the conflict to the team and to let them start talking about it, to become more intelligent about what's really going on. But we don't talk about specifics. And since then, there have been other books written. There's one called Creating Intelligent Teams that goes exactly into this terrain, but we don't have something contextualized for the Agile world. So that's a potential place to go. I'm not sure I'm going to be the one to go there, though. Maybe someone else will. I'm really interested in running experiments with the CXO leadership teams and boards of directors, not bringing in Agile practices, but bringing in, just kind of what you talked about earlier, like leveling up mental complexity and using these advanced facilitation and human systems coaching skills to help them become a functioning team, because most top teams, most boards of directors are not functioning teams. Right. And my thought is that flows down into the organization as pain that everyone else gets to experience when decisions are not made or they're made poorly. Yeah. So I honestly don't know if I'm going to like working with that population. So I'm doing some experiments. Yeah. My first experiment was last month. It went pretty well. Nice. And so I'll just continue doing that because I think what if there could be a set of patterns or ideas for coaching Agile boards or coaching Agile top teams? I mean, I think that would be probably the greater good at this point. Yeah. One of the things I've seen, for example, in this kind of large corporations, for example, like big banks and other insurance companies, is that sometimes we feel that the guys who are, for example, like in management, or they're managers or these kind of positions, we think that they don't, they're useless. But at some point, they are the key. Sometimes when you have to work with them and you are able to, convince them that they are the key to try to unlock this, the power that the teams have. There's this pretty powerful, because you, first of all, you don't feel, yourself alone in the world. Like there's you against them, and then there is I think there is a huge leverage that we can take when you need to transform, when you need to infuse these kind of Agile values within teams. So these are huge advantages that we have there if we know how to tackle that group of people. Yeah, we do. We have a lot to bring to that group of people, actually. But it's really probably not training in practices. Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily, but it's, if we're addressing executive teams and thinking that showing them how Scrum works or how even SAFe works or something else is the thing that's going to help them become a more functional team. I mean, it could, but usually it's the individuals and interactions part that's, needs some work. Yeah. We have a question from Miguel, and then we have another from Jose, but I will read Miguel's first because since it's very related to what we are discussing. So what are the arguments you use to talk to
and persuade senior leaders to move towards agile ways of working in the organization? How do you trigger that change in their mindset?
So the part that I am really very, very poor in is exactly what Miguel's just asked about. I don't try to convince anyone. I don't try to sell anyone that they have to change. So and because I'm poor at that, I count on other people to have already done that and be in those organizations, working with those executives, and to have seen the problems that they think I can specifically come in and help with. And so I'm like really bad. I'm really bad at persuading people. In fact, I think it's unethical. Like for me, from my position, it's unethical. From a salesperson's position, it's totally the thing to do, right? Yeah. So, because my orientation comes first and foremost from professional coaching, my job is to serve the group of humans as they are and help them see if they want a different way. And so, I'm just really not a good person for that, arguments to persuade senior leaders to move toward agile ways of working. I mean, to me, if they're not already there, they're not ready for what I have. Right? So they don't have to be perfect by any means, but they have to want what Agile promises in their organization, and they have to be ready to look at their part in it. Yeah. Right?
A friend of mine. So a friend of mine used to say, because I don't want to forget that, we're trying to do Agile by invitation, not by imposition, right? So at some point, if you try to, impose that change on some persons, of course they are not going to react, or maybe this trigger the amygdala and say fight or flight. Mm-hmm. So that's not the right way to do it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's on the other hand, there's a tremendous amount of backbone in professional coaching, and so because someone from professional coaching orientation like I come from would have a neutral stance. That's a very, very strong place from which to say you want Agile in your organization, and you stand up in the town hall meeting and you talk about the benefits to the company, and then you turn around and you impose deadlines and a set scope on your organization. Mm-hmm. What do you really want?
Right.
And see, if I'm coming from an orientation, I'm trying to convince them that Agile is the way to go, I can't ask that question in a clean way that will have them know that I'm still on their side, even though I'm asking something challenging.
Right.
Right. So I think there's a really good marriage between, people who are in organizations, doing the Agile transformation, and people like me who would come in and be able to help work with the sticky parts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm going to try to go back to Jose's question. I think it's related to the previous topic. You mentioned some skills and tools for working with individuals and interactions outside of Agile. Mm-hmm. I guess things like coaching come to mind. Are there any other things you have in mind?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So the professional coaching world in general, you're right, mm-hmm. is a really mm-hmm. good source for that, but also the facilitation world. And so if I think about the things we're wanting to increase mm-hmm. Teams' competencies in, we're wanting to increase their competence as a team in collaboration, right. creativity, and conflict. Mm-hmm. So if I think about those, there's like three main things to focus on to get them to have more and more competence in those three things over time. Then the whole world of facilitation allows the Agile coach to help them process their content better, mm-hmm. right? And so learn and bring on collaboration, creativity, and conflict in processing their content. And mm-hmm. then the world of professional coaching, specifically systemic coaching methods, mm-hmm. Which are deeper than what are taught in Agile coaching curriculum right now. Because, in the Agile world, we're just like at the foundational coaching skills right now. Mm-hmm. But when we go that further step into more systemic human systems coaching, then we're helping people build those three types of competencies by processing their human system. Right. Processing how they want to work together while they're making X decision or building Y product or in Z conversation. Yeah. So it's both the what and the how.
Sweet. Um, there's another situation that we normally face here, especially with this new I would say wave that we are living here in Spain. We have a lot of huge companies that they're undertaking this kind of transformation, digital transformations initiatives. So one of the things that happens, at least happens to me, and I want to know, want to know your opinion about, is that, for example, when you, for example, reach some place, you gotta go, for example, to some client. There has been other coaches before, other coaches that has been teaching different things in a different way. How what would be the first thing that you do when you have that situation? Because probably the other person was completely different. We understand the values, and we understand the values and principles, but some people apply those values and principles in a different way than you do. So
you got it. You got it. This is, what you're pointing to is the focus of ACI's competence cohort, which is our 9-month certification program. Because at the end of that, each coach is able to articulate, like, here is my way of Agile coaching. So that when I go into an organization, and I'll just talk about myself now, when I go into an organization, I say, okay, here are the main models I'm using. I draw a model and I can say, here are the 8 areas of Agile coaching. I'm really great at this one, pretty good at that one, really bad at this one. I'm going to have to partner with someone when this one over here is your bottleneck. I look at the world through an integral, holistic view, and this is what that means. So I educate about the models I'm using, and I will even level set about my understanding of whatever Agile frameworks they're using, so that we can find out what are the differences they've been taught. Because these frameworks are meant to be adapted. And if once you've gotten the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 10th generation of a framework going, people don't know that it's different than the core.
Right.
And so that's the sort of conversations that we have early on. And all of that is under the heading of creating intentional relationship. So that's what I think about, is I want to create an intentional relationship when I go in. I want to have a clear social contract about what you expect and what I can deliver, and be really clear about what I can't. And I want to have a really clear designed alliance between me and the individual people I'm working with, and some of the groups I'm working with, about how the work we're going to do together, how we can flourish or be strong together while we're doing that work, and how we want to be together when it's difficult.
Right.
The first things I tell people, if I'm doing this job well, you're not going to like me every day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's like you're looking for some allies in the organizations, right? It's not that I'm here to try to, do my job, alone, isolated. So I need, what you're saying there, you're stating that them.
That's right. That's what you ask for. Like once I've thought about the expectations people have, and I process that a bit, then I come back and say, okay, if that's what you want, then here are my requests. Like, for example, I'll need access to the people at the vice president layer. How would that be for you? I'll ask, and they'll say, oh, I can do that, or I can't do that. And then we'll work it out. But with all of that, I know what my boundaries are. I know if they don't give me the minimum that I need to do the job they've asked me to do, then we need to shift the job, or I'm not the right person for it. And, this is as important for people who are working inside organizations and are told, go Agile those teams over there.
That's the same thing that I'm
right? Right. Because when you get there, who knows what they think whatever Agile framework you're using is? Who knows what they think Agile coaching even means? And so, that's why it's important for me, at least, and I'm constantly kind of refining my box, but it's important for me to be able to articulate what that is succinctly and in a way that's in partnership with them early. So that's an ounce of prevention worth a pound of cure.
No, but I love that. What you're saying is we are basically partners. We are partners, and we have to do this together. Otherwise, it's not going to go to a good end. Before we wrap up, we have one more question from Joan. Sometimes I heard from a manager, it's the moment to disagree and commit. It seems to me that is wrong. What do you think about it? I think what Jeff Bezos said, disagree and commit. I don't recall, but I think that he was. But
Well, so here's an interesting thing. And here are the conversations I want to get into with you all when we're all together.
Mm-hmm.
Is that if I hear something like that, I want to ask about 10 more questions. because there's a lot going on, right? And one of the models that I found so useful, and Agile Coaching Institute, we brought it into our curriculum because we were finding it so useful as individual practitioners, is this integral model that would have us look at the mindset of the individuals involved and their level of mental complexity. It would also have us look at the practices, the roles, the products, how that's going. It would have us look at the team culture, like their mojo and their capabilities, or the teams, depending on what scale you're at. And then also the organizational systems that allow us to have end-to-end product flow be easy or not. So what I would want to do is sit down and ask some questions and kind of map out in those 4 quadrants what's going on, because there could be any number of things going on with this manager saying, sometimes we just have to disagree and commit. And you'll hardly ever hear me say that something is right or wrong.
Right. Awesome. I don't know if anyone has any more. I have tons of questions, but I think that we'll have to wait until the conference, Lyssa.
Well, I'm going to be wearing this sweater, this orange sweater, so that it's easy to find me in the hallway, and I will talk with you.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Lyssa, for your time. We really appreciate it that you accepted this invitation. We also wanted to say that the webinar is being recorded, so we'll be sharing that maybe next week. And then also want to say thanks to Accenture, who is making possible to bring you here. So thank you so much, guys, for your time. We'll see you on December.
Yes. In a few weeks.
In a couple of weeks. We are very, very excited about it.
Yeah.
So thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.